Hey, and welcome to the tutorial playthrough of our Sword and Sorcery fighting game, ReaverQuest. Here's the game setup. Separate the battlefield deck and place it aside. Then each player chooses a hero card and sets them in front of them. Finally, shuffle 6 rage cards into the fight deck. And now you're ready to play ReaverQuest. So let's get started. The dealer deals 6 cards to each player, and players exchange dealer responsibility. The player that did not deal has initiative for the first battle, and they must play an attack card if they have one. If they don't have one, they can pass initiative to the other player. The other player responds with a riposte or deflect card, or takes damage from that attack card. In this case, they played a 7 riposte, a compound lunge, to reduce it to 1 damage. Whoever plays the last card in the previous battle loses initiative, so player 1 attacks again with a flourishing strike, sending 3 damage towards player 2. Player 2 responds with a cutting riposte, which is a greater value than the flourishing strike. It's a 6 versus a 3. Since the riposte is 3 greater than the oncoming attack, those extra damage are sent back towards player 1. Player 1 now has to deal with 3 damage coming back at them. Player 1 performs a minor retreat, reduces that damage by 1 using a deflect 1 card. If they had a riposte card of their own, they also could have played that and sent damage back towards player 2 again. As player 1 played the last card, player 2 has initiative, but has no attack cards in their hand, so they pass initiative. While player 1 still has a 1 attack and performs a quick stab towards player 2. Player 2 goes fully defensive and performs a turtle roll, which is a greater value than the quick stab towards them. However, since it's a deflect card, the extra damage does not go back towards player 1 in a 2-player game. Both player 1 and player 2 pass initiative and are out of attack cards, so the round ends, they discard their cards, and a new hand is dealt. Inside the fight deck are 6 of the 10 rage cards that come with the game. Sometimes you'll get these into your hand and you can use them to perform advanced combat maneuvers. Player 2 has initiative and just performed Dance of the Blade Master for a 10 attack towards player 1. Player 1 decides to play their Perfect Deflect Rage card, which modifies another deflect card into being Deflect 12. This totally negates the powerful attack from player 2 and the cards are discarded. Player 2 still has initiative but must pass because they have no attack cards in their hand. So player 1 plays the Vorpal Thrust, a 9 towards player 2, who responds with a Perfect Riposte, which sends 3 damage back towards player 1. So player 1 now has to deal with 3 damage coming back to them after that powerful attack. Player 1 is able to respond with a Counter Slash, which is a 9 riposte, sending 6 damage back towards player 2. Player 2 decides to do a knockback, deflecting 5 of that and just taking a single point of damage from that battle. Both players now have 14 vigor left. As player 2 played the last card, player 1 has initiative. Player 1 performs an uppercut, 4 attack towards player 2, who responds with Modi's Battle Cry, a 10 riposte back, sending 6 damage back towards player 1. But player 1 has their defenses up and performs a Fury Steel Wall, which deflects all of the damage sent back to them. That battle ends, and player 2 has initiative. Player 2 is out of cards, as is player 1, so a new round begins. Player 1 will have initiative as player 2 is dealing the cards. Most of the rage cards in the game must be used with other cards. For example, the Meteor Sword performs a powerful 12 attack towards your opponent, but must modify another attack card. In this case, player 1 decides to play the Meteor Sword with their Vorpal Thrust card, sending 12 damage towards player 2. Player 2 responds with a Counter Slash, a 9 riposte, which reduces that devastating attack to just 3 damage that they have to take. That battle is over, and now player 1 again has initiative, as player 2 played the last card. Player 1 is out of attack cards, so passes initiative. Player 2 plays the Overhead Smash towards player 1, who must now contend with 7 damage coming their way. Fortunately, player 1 has a Perfect Riposte they use to modify another riposte card, and are able to send 5 damage back towards player 2, who must take all that damage as they are out of defensive cards. They are now near death, and on the wounded side of their hero card. Player 2 plays a 2 attack, a spinning kick, and player 1 deflects it with a disengage, ending that battle. Player 1 played the last card, so player 2 has initiative again. Player 2 plays a quick stab. Player 1 deflects it with Call of the Valkyrie, and again that battle ends. It's a stalemate here between these 2 players. Both are out of cards, and so the round ends. As player 1 dealt, player 2 has initiative. Player 2 plays a Poison Blade card, one of the few rage cards that can stand on their own. Does 1 automatic damage and 1 damage each time the player is attacked. It also remains in play for the entire round, so the player 1 has to deal with it every time they are attacked until the round ends. Player 1 now has initiative and plays Shadow Strike towards Player 2, sending 8 damage their way. Player 2 responds with a Deflect 8, Point in Line. This results in a perfect parry. Whenever a Deflect card is used to bring the battle to exactly 0, the player who performed the perfect parry draws a battlefield card, which impacts the entire gameplay. Here the Reavers have been transported into the Wicked Caverns, where all players lose 1 vigor whenever a rage card is played by either player. Also, the player that performed the perfect parry benefits from the perfect parry effect, which is you recover 2 vigor in this case. So player 2 goes from 6 vigor up to 8. And the players will have to be careful about playing rage cards until that battlefield is changed. Player 1 attacks with a Feather Flick, sending 6 damage towards Player 2. Player 2 performs a knockback, reducing that damage just down to 1 point. Player 1 is out of attack cards, as is Player 2. The round ends, both players discard their cards, and a new hand is dealt. Furthermore, Player 1 no longer suffers the effects of the Poison Blade, as we're starting a new round. Player 1 has initiative. They perform a Feather Flick towards Player 2, sending 6 damage their way. Player 2 responds with a Leaping Slash, reducing that damage down to 1 point. Player 1 retains initiative and sends a Flourishing Strike towards Player 2, who responds with a Compound Lunge, sending 4 damage back towards Player 1. Player 1 performs a Perfect Deflect with a forward deflect, and so draws a new battlefield card. Now, the Reavers are transported to the Dragon's Hatchery, where all players recover 1 vigor when a rage card is played. Player 1 also benefits from the Recover 2 vigor effect of the perfect parry, and that battle is over. Player 1 played the last card, so Player 2 has initiative and performs Dance of the Blade Master. Player 1 can only respond with a Gutting Riposte, which reduces the damage down to 4. That battle is over. Player 2 retains initiative. Player 2 plays an Empowered Slash. Player 1 responds with a Distracting Strike, reducing the damage to 1. That battle is over. Player 2 retains initiative. Player 2 performs an Uppercut. Player 1 performs a Small Retreat, which reduces that damage to 3. Player 2 again retains initiative. Player 2 plays the Smoke Bomb card, which is played as an attack and immediately ends the round, but also guarantees them initiative in the next round. Both players discard their cards, the deck is reshuffled, and a new hand is dealt. Player 2 has initiative and performs the Poison Blade again on Player 1. However, now that they're in the Dragon's Hatchery, Player 1 and Player 2 both gain 1 vigor as a rage card has been played, but then Player 1 loses that vigor again because of the Poison Blade effect. Player 1 now has initiative and performs Dance of the Blade Master, sending 10 damage towards Player 2, who responds with a Distracting Strike, reducing that damage to 6 and putting them at only 1 vigor left. The battle ends and Player 1 retains initiative. Player 1 plays a Flourishing Strike, sending 3 damage towards Player 2. Player 2 knocks away 2 damage, but still takes 1 point and is defeated. Player 1 is the victor in this game of ReaverQuest. Thanks for watching, and may you be victorious in all your battles.